The book of Judges is set in that transitional period between the death of Joshua and the establishment of a monarchic system. It's about a 200-year period, from about 1200 to 1000 or so. It is an imaginative and embellished reconstruction of that period of transition. We'll also see it's a very ideologically laden reconstruction. So the stories depict local tribal skirmishes rather than confrontations between nations. You have pretty much skirmishes with groups around the country. And that makes a lot of sense for this 200-year period when Canaan is making a transition from sort of city-states in the Bronze Age to the emerging nation of what will be Israel, next to it Philistia, on the east side Aram. So we have nations are going to be coming into being by the end of this period. But there's this 200-year transitional period before you get the formation of these independent states. Like Joshua, the book of Judges consists of various sources that were fused together in a Deuteronomistic framework. We'll come back to that. In fact, it's really a collection of individual stories that center on local heroes, several of whom are, interestingly enough, socially marginal. These are pretty scrappy characters. You've got the illegitimate son of a prostitute, you've got a bandit, you've got very interesting, colorful, and as I say, socially marginal people. And these stories have a real folkloristic flavor to them. They're full of drama and a lot of local color, local references to places and customs and so on. So if you were to list the stories of the various judges, the major judges, we have 6 major and 6 minor judges. The minor judges is simply a reference to the fact that they judged for a certain period of time. So there's 12 listed in all, I believe, and there are 6 major judges for whom there is a lengthy story. Beginning with Ehud in chapter 3. It's a very, very funny story, and Ehud leads the Israelites against the Moabites. A lot of sort of bathroom humor in that one. In chapters 4 and 5, you have Deborah, who helps the Israelites in battle against certain Canaanite groups. You have 4 chapters, chapters 6 through 9, recording the adventures of Gideon. Gideon fights against the Midianites. Gideon is interesting. There are signs in his story that he is divinely chosen. There's some evidence of the annunciation of his birth and some signal that he is divinely chosen. Then in 11 and into a little bit of chapter 12, you have the story of Yiftach or Jephthah, who fights against the Ammonites. Very interesting and tragic story of his daughter, which echoes similar sorts of stories in Greek legend. You also have chapters 13 to 16, Samson, who of course fights against the Philistines. Samson is somewhat atypical. He also has a tremendous and fatal weakness for foreign women, and that's a strong theme throughout the Samson stories. We'll come back to some of that. Then towards the end, you have some interesting chapters at the end. 17 and 18 tell the story of Micah and his idolatrous shrine. And then finally, the quite horrifying and gruesome tale, beginning chapters 19, going on through 20 and 21, the story of the Levite's concubine and the civil war. We'll come back and talk about some of these in a little more detail, but that's just to give you a sense of the different units that are in the story, and then that are in the book. And these stories have then been embedded in a Deuteronomistic framework. This framework provides the editor's view and pronouncement on and judgment of the period.